Cabot premium stains and finishes for unbeatable quality and protection against weathering for your exterior wood surfaces. It provides translucent, rich color and dimension to decks, siding, railings, and outdoor furniture. A gallon of Australian timber oil is $49.98 plus 11% off. Good to June 18th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Urology Specialists of Ohio are here for you. Men, your good health is important to them. Their knowledge of specific male anatomy, prostate issues, and how to help in your healing is their main focus. Urology Specialists of Ohio are now accepting new patients at all locations: Beaver Creek, Springfield, Urbana, Xenia, and London. They have been in practice for over 20 years with over 80 years of experience between 5 physicians. Call today. They can schedule your appointment in a timely manner with little wait time. Online at urologyspecialistofohio.com.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Ignite your imagination with Audible. It's the home of storytelling with audiobooks, podcasts, exclusive originals, and more. All in one place. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Justin Kinner with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We are finally live up on the Facebook feed and the YouTube feed. So if you were looking for us there and couldn't find us, that is why. But we are off and rolling here on a Tuesday. Kev Nash was with us to start the show. He stepped away. He'll join us starting on tomorrow's show. But we got a lot to get into over the next couple of hours. Got some red stuff coming up around the corner, but we opened up recapping NBA Finals. The Denver Nuggets win the NBA championship, and Nikola Jokic adds an NBA Finals MVP trophy to his case, along with his other 2 MVPs. And the legacy and the legend of Jokic continues to grow. So congratulations to him and the Denver Nuggets. There's that. It's list season, and we revealed our top 10 wide receivers. And of course, anytime you throw out a list, it sparks a reaction from people. Some people like lists, some people don't. I see Mr. Scott Whetstone just taking personal shots at me because we're doing a list. If you don't like the list, provide your own list. Or if you don't like what we're talking about, just wait around until we talk about something you like. Or just we're not encouraged to say this, but you could turn the dial, or you could change the channel. We're not every topic is going to be for everyone. That's okay. But to make it personal, dude, like, you need to get over yourself. I ain't going to put up with that. That's for sure. I'm in a good mood, though. Lots to get into. The Cincinnati Reds continue to roll. We got Red stuff coming up for you here in just a little bit. For those who missed the interview with the Hall of Famer Hal McCoy yesterday, we'll have that around the corner. A lot of good stuff there. So again, the list season, we talked about our top 10 wide receivers, and a lot of people, and I stress this enough. You know, when you give out your list to anything, it's your list. It's what you find. You have your own criteria. You know, Kev had his criteria. I had my criteria. People are mad because I don't have Jamar Chase in the top 5. I had him at number 6 or whatever, and people that irritated people. Here's what I'm not trying to stir the pot. I've always been a very consistent person. I have always said, give me the players, give me the coaches, give me coworkers, give me friends, give me anyone in life that does more with less. Anyone in life that does more with less, and I'm going to be team that person. I'm going to be team that guy. I'm going to be team that gal. I'm going to be team whoever does more with less. And when I look at these top 5 wide or top 10 wide receivers and I start spacing it out, I'm not hating on the Cincinnati Bengals, but I'm pretty consistent when you look at how my list is laid out. I think there are very good wide receivers in the NFL that I actually play with against. Could Jamar Chase do the same things he does if Tua is his quarterback? Hence why I have Tyreek Hill so high. Tyreek Hill leaves the best quarterback in the National Football League, which many people chalked up his success to playing with Patrick Mahomes, then goes on to play with a fringe top 10 quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa, who couldn't stay healthy, who missed a lot of time last year, and yet still put up freak monster numbers, put up better numbers playing with Tua and backup quarterbacks than he did the year before with Patrick Mahomes. That's why I have Tyreek as high as I do, because he went to a situation where he was playing with a less talented quarterback, a less talented team, and somehow got better. That's talent. And I'm not saying Jamar doesn't have it. Jesus, of course he does. But I'm impressed with what I see from Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill could have went there and drowned. The reason everyone's like, A.J. Brown, how can you have A.J. Brown at number 8? Because A.J. Brown is a wide receiver that played in Tennessee. His numbers were very, very good, but it's not like there's receivers that can put up numbers no matter who their quarterback is. And then there's A.J. Brown, who needed a Jalen Hurts to break out and have that elite season that he did. You know what I mean? Mike Evans, his numbers are as good as the guys I have in the top 5, but he played with Tom Brady. Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, a very, very good quarterback. Is he an MVP quarterback? No. Cooper Kupp puts up 1,900 yards the last season he was completely healthy, and he was on pace for a 1,600-yard season last year before going out in Week 10. Cooper Kupp's the top 3 wide receiver. Devontae Adams. Oh, he's only good because of Aaron Rodgers. I would agree with you at first. A year ago, I'd say, well, I wouldn't say he was only good because of Aaron Rodgers. I would say that, hey, yes, it's a lot easier to be Devontae Adams when you have Aaron Rodgers throwing you the football. But then you leave Green Bay, you go play with Derek Carr, who's a good quarterback, not an elite quarterback. You go and you put up numbers that are actually better last year with all the chaos with Raiders than the year before playing with the quarterback who had an MVP season. Devontae Adams had 23 less catches than in 2021 and 2022, and yet only finished with 40 less receiving yards than the year before. He had 1,500 yards in 2021, 1,500 yards in 2022, and he did it with 23 less catches coming from a quarterback that's not an MVP quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. Talk about the big catch plays. He had more touchdowns, more yards per game. Devontae Adams, I have at number 2 because of that. Do more with less. You left playing with an MVP quarterback to go play with a good quarterback, and yet your numbers still stayed the same, if not got better. Same thing with Tyreek Hill. Same thing, those guys, Cooper Kupp, playing with Matthew Stafford, who's a very, very good quarterback, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not the elite quarterbacks. Give me the guys that don't need elite quarterback play to be elite wide receivers. Give me those guys. That's all I'm saying. Don't get mad. People are pissed that I put Amari Cooper in my top 10. I didn't put him in the top 5. I didn't put him in the top 7. Hell, I didn't even put him in the top 8. I have him at number 9. Oh, how could you put Amari Cooper there? Amari Cooper, folks. And another guy, by the way, 1,000-plus yard wide receiver, double-digit touchdowns pretty much every season, playing with Dak Prescott in Dallas. Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback. He's like the Matthew Staffords of the world. He's like the Derek Carrs of the world. He's like the Tua Tagovailoas of the world. These aren't top 10 quarterbacks. These are just good, solid quarterbacks, and they're putting up elite numbers. I'm more impressed with wide receivers who put up numbers with good quarterbacks than I am wide receivers who put up numbers with elite quarterbacks. That's why I have Jamar Chase sitting there at 6 outside of 5, because Jamar Chase, he's a difference maker, by the way. Cincinnati went from, not winning many games in the rookie year of Joe Burrow and T. Higgins. You get Jamar Chase and a lot of other pieces too. Don't get me wrong. They get to a Super Bowl. I know the impact of Jamar Chase, but you also want to look at numbers. Justin Jefferson's numbers, significantly better. Cooper Kupp's numbers, significantly better. Hell, Stephon Diggs' numbers, significantly better. But I also don't have Stephon Diggs in the top 5, mainly because of that too. You're playing with Josh Allen. I'm not hating on Jamar Chase. I'm using the same criteria from top to bottom. You don't like it, that's fine. Put out your list. But until then, it's Justin Kinner's list, and that's my criteria for it. If you want to say, hey, Jamar Chase is a top 2 wide receiver because he benefits from playing with a top 5 quarterback, then more power to you. But no, I'm consistent. I like the guys that can go maximize the skill set around them. It's easy to be Jamar Chase in Cincinnati. It's not easy to be Devontae Adams with the Raiders. You know what I mean? Like that's all. It's easy to be, it's easy to be Stephon Diggs when you have Josh Allen throwing you the football. What about when you're Amari Cooper and you have a backup quarterback for 11 games to start a season and then a quarterback that's elite but also has missed 2 years, so he's kind of coming into his own? That's all I'm going to say. I'll leave it at that. It's Kinner and Kev here on 1410 ESPN Radio, 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. But yes, list season, people say, why do you do list season? Because it works. Because it irritates you guys, and then in return, you irritate me by going at me for my opinion, and that's more than fine. But it doesn't matter because I'm still having a good day, and I hope you guys are as well, and that's really all that matters when it's all said and done. All right, I'm Justin Kenner. Give me a call, 518-1410. We'll step away for a few minutes. When we come back, we got Reds talk around the corner. I was asked a question yesterday. The Cincinnati Reds, they're 2.5 games now out of the wild card, 3.5 games out of the division. They got another huge win last night, a come-from-behind win. They now lead baseball in a very interesting statistical category that we're going to talk about on the other side. But man, oh man, the Reds have been fun. We're going to talk about the Reds. I was asked a question. All right, if the Reds do go make moves at the trade deadline, what moves do they make? I'm here to tell you that I don't think that they should make moves to improve on their deficiencies. I think they should make moves to double down on their strengths, and I'll explain when we come back. Hour 2 coming up next. Kenner and Cav, 1410 Wing AM.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, Jay, can you finish that induction range installation tomorrow?
Orders have really amped up at Nate's Electric.
We need to finish installing it first in Maine. Did we hear back from the grocery chain?
It's no shock he needs electricians, like yesterday.
Smart fridge. Everybody wants one of those these days.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Pro Paint Days are here at Lowe's. Now through June 16th, Lowe's MVPs members can start earning 20% back in paint rewards via Lowe's e-gift card when you spend $100 or more on qualifying paint purchases. Stock up on top paint brands like our new and exclusive HGTV Home by Jonah Williams Spec Right Pro Interior Paint. Lowe's knows pros. Exclusions, restrictions, and more terms apply. See Lowe's.com/L/pro loyalty terms. Subject to change.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, NA member FDIC.
O'Reilly.
Stay cool this summer with AC Pro and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get a $15 O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card after rebate plus 2 times O Rewards points with the purchase of select AC Pro ready-to-use refrigerant products that include a hose and gauge. If your vehicle's AC is blowing hot air, beat the heat with AC Pro at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Ignite your imagination with Audible. It's the home of storytelling with audiobooks, podcasts, exclusive originals, and more. All in one place. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
Coming to you live from the Superbook Sports Studios in Kettering. You're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
everybody. Welcome back. Justin Kinner with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. Kev Nash joined us to start the show. He'll be back starting for tomorrow's show, but we still got a lot to get into. We talked about the list segment. Every week we'll be doing a list season, right? It's a boring time for sports media where the NBA season just wrapped up. We're well past that. I mean, we're still months away from the NFL season getting here. Luckily, we have baseball. We'll talk some Reds coming up here in just a few moments. But just kind of responding to some of your takes regarding the list segment, Damon Hahn, he says that I'm okay with you having Jamar Chase at 6. I would probably have him 4, but I personally think he is the reason you consider Burrow top 10. I mean, I think you can consider. What do you mean? Me consider Burrow top 10? Burrow's a top 10 quarterback. I don't think I'm not debating that. But I do think that the difference is that quarterbacks need wide receivers for them to be top 10. But I also think wide receivers, the good ones, need the quarterbacks to elevate them, but the elite ones don't need elite quarterback play to elevate them. And we don't know that about Jamar Chase. You could talk about T. Higgins, give T. Higgins credit. I thought, for instance, last year, Jamar Chase goes out for 4 games, okay? And Joe Burrow's numbers decline. Joe Burrow took a step back. Joe Burrow was a very good quarterback without Jamar Chase. He's elite with Jamar Chase, but he's not. So it's like one of those things where you can continue to see who impacts one another more. But I'll tell you what, T. Higgins, when Jamar Chase went out, he averaged 90-plus yards a game. T. Higgins stepped right in, and that's why so many people are high on him. Damon Hahn says Burrow is slightly above average talent with above average leadership skills. Woof. Come on, Damon, you're making me defend Burrow, and I don't like that. Burrow is slightly above average talent. I think he's better than above average. I think he's, I'll never say overrated. I don't think he's as good as what everyone makes him out to be. I think that the receiving core as a whole around him helps him be as elite as he is. But I don't think no quarterback could be elite without help around them. But the leadership thing, by the way, that's not true. Look, I'm watching Ellie De La Cruz come into Cincinnati, and there's been good. I mean, Jonathan India, Tyler Stevenson, a lot of really good players have emerged for the Reds, but there's only one that has all of a sudden captivated the city. And what we're seeing with Ellie De La Cruz with the Reds is what we saw with Joe Burrow with the Bengals. Joe Burrow emerged, and all of a sudden everyone got in line. There's been good quarterbacks to play for Cincinnati before, right? Like we've seen it before, maybe not to the level of Burrow, but I mean, there's been quarterbacks that have come in and are capable of winning games. Joe Burrow is not Andy Dalton, but Andy Dalton was good enough to come in. He had one season where he was a MVP caliber quarterback, which is very weird to say. But no, Andy Dalton is not an elite quarterback, but Andy Dalton won football games. No one rallied behind him. He was a good leader. Teammates loved him. No one disliked Andy Dalton. Fans did once he stopped, getting into the playoffs and not being able to win games there. But yeah, it's just something different about Joe Burrow. So I disagree about the leadership thing when it comes to Joe Burrow. He definitely has the leadership. He definitely gets guys to want to run through a wall for him. Keith Tolliver on Facebook, how do you argue Justin's list with him? It's his list. Exactly. I'm fine with the back and forth. Like Damon, you're doing awesome. I'm fine with the back and forth with you. You're doing great. I have no issue with that. Ryan Holzapple, what up, Ryan? He goes, I can't believe you're actually reading his comments. Burrow is slightly above average. Does this guy watch football? Look, like I said, I'm just trying to be nice. I'm dealing with some people who have not been so nice today on the page, so I'm trying to counter with niceness today, Ryan. So Ryan, stop being mean. I can't believe I'm the one saying that. But no, nonetheless, if you're just joining us, we did the top 5 or top 10 wide receivers, and my criteria was a little bit different than most. People think, oh, you use the haterade criteria. No. I have Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp and Tyreek Hill as my top 4 wide receivers in football. There's some Bengals fans who are upset that I didn't have Jamar Chase up there. And the reason I didn't have Jamar Chase up there is because it's actually complimenting your team. I'm saying I respect the wide receivers that maximize their numbers with so elite quarterbacks. Justin Jefferson plays with a very good quarterback in Kirk Cousins, but he's not elite. Justin Jefferson does more for Kirk Cousins than Kirk Cousins does for him. All right, so that's what I mean. But so Justin Jefferson, good for you. Devontae Adams. I used to think that the quarterback, I used to look at Devontae Adams like Jamar Chase. Like, okay, you're really good. You're a freak athlete, but your quarterback elevates you. Well, Devontae Adams goes to the Raiders, okay, and not only, sustains his success, he elevated. He was better last year than the year before, the season he had in which he helped Aaron Rodgers win another MVP. So that's where I have Devontae Adams at number 2, because elite with Aaron Rodgers, you're elite without Aaron Rodgers playing alongside Carr. Again, Carr, like Kirk Cousins, not elite, but very good. Okay. Cooper Kupp last year. A lot of people down on Cooper Kupp. I have no clue why. Cooper Kupp last year in just 9 games was close to 900 yards, would have been close to about 14 or 1,500 yards. He was on pace to go to get to about 14 touchdowns last year. Over the last 26 games, he only played 9 games last year. He played all 17 the season before. All right. And so in 26 games, the last 2 years, 2,600 yards. Okay. Even missing almost all of last year. All right. 24 touchdowns. Okay. Average 100 plus yards per game in those, like Cooper Kupp. And I love Matthew Stafford. I'm actually a Matthew Stafford guy. Just because I'm a supporter of him doesn't mean I think he's elite. Matthew Stafford's, I think, better than Kirk Cousins. I think he's better than Carr, but I don't think he's at the level of a Patrick Mahomes or a Jalen Hurts or even obviously a Joe Burrow at this point. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as that's concerned. That's why I have Cooper Kupp at number 3. And then Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill was getting a lot of the talk that Devontae Adams was. Oh my gosh, you're only as good as you are because you're playing with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, we see the skill set, we see the talent, but I would give Tyreek Hill a lot of credit. He goes to Miami, very similar situation to Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, playing with a good quarterback, not an elite quarterback, but doing more for. I mean, he's doing more for Tua than Tua's doing for him. That's just the reality of it. And that's why I have Tyreek Hill at number 4, who got better. You leave Patrick Mahomes and get better. Devontae Adams leaves Aaron Rodgers and gets better. That is wild to me. And that's kind of where I'm at as far as that's concerned. And Stephon Diggs, people get mad because I put him above Jamar Chase. But the bottom line is at number 5, Stephon Diggs, I mean, his numbers are just better than Jamar Chase's at this point. So now that you've got through those top 4 wide receivers who play with good quarterbacks, not elite, now you get into the wide receivers that are playing with elite quarterbacks. And you have Josh Allen, of course, throwing the ball to Stephon Diggs, but Stephon Diggs was putting up elite numbers before he got to Josh Allen. So there's that aspect of it as far as that's concerned. And then Jamar Chase coming in at number 6. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not hating. It is what it is as far as I'm concerned. I had Jamar Chase at number 6, Mike Evans at 7, A.J. Brown at 8, Amari Cooper 9, T. Higgins 10. But yes, appreciate the back and forth for some of you who are just willing to have that normal conversation, but it is what it is. But I'm Justin Kenner with you, 518-1410. Text the show. I'll pull up this in a second. Ryan Holzapple said Cooper Kupp is a stud. He doesn't get the credit he deserves because he's not your prototypical receiver. He's not 6'3" and doesn't necessarily pass the eye test, but his production is undeniable. And let me say this about Jamar Chase. I'm not saying if it sounds like I'm holding the fact that he plays with Joe Burrow against him, I am, but it's not like in a bad way that you're trying to make it out to be. I said, okay, Devontae Adams goes to play with the less talented quarterback and was even just as good, if not better. Same thing with Tyreek Hill. I'm not saying that would not be the case for Jamar Chase. We just haven't seen it. I just think that that's what makes those receivers so dynamic is that there's a reason that the Bengals are trying to keep Joe Burrow and keep him in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins all as one, because regardless of who's more responsible for the other, whether it's T. Higgins and Jamar Chase that make Joe Burrow, or whether it's Joe Burrow that makes Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, the bottom line is whoever's making the other one great, they're both great because of one another. So let's keep them together. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But until I see it, that's why I just find the others just more impressive. That's all. Nothing against Jamar Chase. Is freaking good. And I would love him in Cleveland, as much as that pains me to say, but it is what it is. All right. Let me make sure we're good on the comments. I always get caught up with that. Damon Hahn, he goes, Damon Hahn's a Bengals fan, but he's a realistic fan. When I see his play, I see Jared Goff, Derek Carr, Eli Manning, all good QBs, but winning because of the team, not because of his talent. Ryan Holzapple, what do you got to say about that? Damon, I don't know how to respond to that. You're a Bengals fan. You say you're being realistic, and I appreciate that because most Bengals fans are just drooling over these guys. These guys could, they could do no wrong. You're at least being critical. You're at least being, open-minded, all that stuff. I can respect that. I just don't know if I agree. But like I said, I can meet you halfway. I don't think Joe Burrow's as good as what everyone makes him out to be, but I also think he's still pretty dang good, if that makes sense. So we'll just kind of leave it at that. I'm not trying to get into some drama today, especially since we're going to be with the Bengals tomorrow. I'm not here to make enemies. You know what I'm saying? But I might make some with this next part of the show. We'll get to the Reds in a moment. Jonah Williams, is he delusional? Is Jonah Williams delusional? That's what I got to ask. Bengals fans, if you're hanging out with me and you were locked in on that conversation, stay here for this one. Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams might be the only one associated with the Bengals, players or fans, that has a problem with the Cincinnati Bengals adding Orlando Brown Jr. I am a Bengals hater, as you guys like to say. I am a big Browns fan. I have 2 NFL teams that you guys make fun of me for. I don't like to give the Bengals credit. Even I had to give the Bengals credit for adding Orlando Brown Jr. And it's one thing if you're talking about it from a competitive standpoint of, man, he came in and he's taken my job. But to whine about it and cry about it to the media, I hate that. I don't like that at all. And I would call it out if it was on a player on my team. Jonah Williams was asked today, him and his agent had demanded a trade, by the way. Okay, him and Joe Burrow, sorry, I was reading a comment as I said that, so I said Joe Burrow. Jonah Williams and his agent demanded a trade because they were upset that they added Orlando Brown Jr. and didn't ask his permission. So with camp, underway, or at least, the mandatory mini camps that are going on right now, Jonah Williams addressed the media today. He had this to say when media had asked him regarding his feelings on how everything went down with Orlando Brown Jr. Check it out.
The main issue for me was the way that I found out, the way the communication happened, because I'm sitting on my couch, my fiance's 40 weeks pregnant. Her due date was in, I want to say, like 3 days. And, I'm rehabbing my knee and all that stuff. And, I found out that we signed Orlando on my phone on Apple News. I actually had a teammate text me before and he was like, "Hey, have the Bengals talked to you?" And I was like, no, I don't, have a good one. I didn't know what he meant. And so I found out on Apple News. And so then, the following day, my agent was calling the front office trying to get a hold of someone. And, we just, I know. And he just never got a hold of anyone, and no one responded to us. And I just didn't know what was going on. And I just wanted to hear it from them. And, the frustrating thing is that I still haven't heard anything back. We had a request to trade via text. And that's just like, I felt that I've started 47 games, 37 straight. And I felt that if it were communicated, hey, we have the opportunity to sign this guy and we like him, we want you to bump over and play right tackle. I would have, it sucks. Like it would be hard to hear, but I think in a couple of days it would have been like, okay, let's go, let's do it. And I just never got that,
A boo-hoo, a wah. I don't care. That's what I got to say to all that. Oh, if they would have reached out and asked me my thoughts on it, who cares about your thoughts? You were a part of the problem in Cincinnati. The Cincinnati Bengals have a historic piece to the puzzle when it comes to the franchise in Joe Burrow. And they finally did what we've been screaming for them to do for many, many years. And in their credit, they started it last year when they added Karras and when they added Lyle Collins and Kappa, and then they go and add Orlando Brown Jr. The Cincinnati Bengals, they were stubborn. They wanted to do it the right way of drafting and developing, and kudos to the Cincinnati Bengals because they said, you know what? We don't know how to draft offensive linemen for whatever reason. We can't draft them. We can't develop them. And Jonah Williams, you are a part of that era. You are a part of that world. And I've always said that there is nothing wrong with acknowledging that, okay, we're not going to draft. And, they went light on drafting offensive linemen. They put all their draft picks into defense this past year, and rightfully so, because they basically said, hey, we're going to spend our money on the offensive line the last 2 years, and we'll plug our holes on defense in the draft, because guess what they do? They draft wide receivers really well, and they draft defensive players really well. So the fact that they went all in money-wise in Orlando Brown Jr., that was like the most competent thing I've ever seen this organization do in recent history, and it was the smart thing. They should have done it a long time ago. I'm not saying Orlando Brown Jr., but years ago when they had opportunities to go get some legitimate offensive linemen, and they chose to just keep drafting and developing and doing all that stuff and then ignoring the offensive line in the draft last year, but then made up for it when they put all their money into free agency and offensive linemen. I give them credit. Jonah Williams, you are not good enough to cry to the media and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe they didn't call and ask me my thoughts. How do you think that call was going to go, by the way? Hey, Jonah, Duke Tubman here. I just wanted to call and let you know that you really stink. And because you stink and because the entire offensive line stinks, we're really just focusing on continuing to upgrade as many of these positions as possible. And I just was wanting to call and see if you wanted to go hang out, grab a beer, and talk about it. Do you think you think he's going to want to go get a beer? You think that Jonah Williams is going to be like, well, by golly, I'm so appreciative that you called and asked my opinion. I don't care. This is why I know professional athletes would never cut it out in the real world like us common folk people, because guess what, Jonah Williams? You mean to tell me that the corporate level of your company, the Cincinnati Bengals, didn't ask you your opinion on a way to upgrade your position? If my front office wanted to replace me, you think they're going to call me and ask me, hey, man, we think you stink. And they probably do think this, by the way, and that's fine. We think you stink, Kenner, and we were thinking about hiring this guy over here. What do you think? Will you sign off on us replacing you with him? No, that's not how it works, Jonah Williams. He went on this 3-minute boo-hoo crybaby soliloquy that I don't care if I'm being harsh on. This is ridiculous. Who are you, Jonah Williams, a part of the problem? They didn't get to the Super Bowl because of you. They didn't come this close to getting back to the Super Bowl because of you. They got to the Super Bowl and almost won the whole damn thing in spite of you. Mike Brown, Duke Tubman, all you guys, good for you for not calling him and asking his permission and his thoughts on the matter. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that. I had a problem with it that they didn't even call me and ask me, who do you think you are that they need to call you? And that's any sport. But I promise you, for my listeners right now, at your job, your boss isn't calling you, asking you about advice on who to hire. Jonah Williams, they drafted you to be an offensive lineman. You're not good at that job. But why would they call you to be the general manager as well? Give me a break. All right. Let's see. Keith Tolliver. What a big beeping baby Williams is. WTF. All right. Ryan Holzapple. Oh, this might be a good one. He goes, this pains me to say this, Justin. You make a lot of sense today regarding the Bengals. Well, it might have something to do with the Bengals being in town tomorrow, and I have to go spend some time with them. Maybe that has something to do with it. But no, this particular issue with Jonah Williams. I remember when this came out a little bit ago that he was upset and demanded the trade. I was pretty annoyed with it. Ryan Holzapple goes, it's hard to argue with what they've done the last few years and the direction they're going. They're winning at a high level and building to maintain it. Exactly. So I would be team Jonah Williams if Jonah Williams was like a very, very good offensive lineman and they made this move and it didn't make sense. It shocked everybody, and not in a bad way. For once, the Bengals shocked everybody because, holy crap. And by the way, it started last year. They got Lyle Collins last year. That was a difference. Kappa and Karras, those were good. Don't get me wrong. But Lyle Collins, who there was a lot of risk involved, and unfortunately the risk that they took bit them in the behind, and maybe he comes back and he's as strong as ever. Who knows? But if you have Lyle Collins and Orlando Brown Jr. on that offensive line, that finally, Joe Burrow took a team to the Super Bowl in spite of Jonah Williams in that offensive line. And Jonah Williams has a problem that they upgraded? My God. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. If my job brings in another host to replace me, I'm not going to be happy either. So I could relate to him on that. But what I'm not going to do is go to the media or myself, I'm not going to go publicly and say, oh my gosh, I'm upset because my company made a business decision to bring in a better sports talk show host than me, and they didn't ask my permission. Boo-hoo, Kenner. Boo-hoo, Jonah Williams. Congratulations. You know now what it's like to be like us common folk here in real world America. I'm telling you, I love this job. I love sports. That's how I make my living. But professional athletes drive me nuts because of the delusional world that they live in. The fact that you think you could be bad at your job and still hold the front office to a standard of having to ask your permission to sign Orlando Brown Jr. My goodness. I don't know what to tell you. Let's go to Adam. Adam, if you're there, how are you, sir?
Hey, great. Thanks for taking my call. No, I feel bad for Jonah Williams in this aspect, but he might need a new agent because his agent is not. There's no way any NFL organization is not returning an agent's phone call. So his agent's not telling him the truth as to what the Bengals told his agent. So
do you know his agent? I'm gonna look it up real quick. Do you know?
I couldn't tell you. I could get on the Google machine, but does it really matter? Like, just go get a new one, dude. You need a new agent because he's lying to you. So that's where I'm at with that.
Or, I mean, to be fair, Adam, he may be lying to him, or if he's telling I don't know what's worse, Adam. If he's lying to him, yes, of course, that's bad. But the truth, I think, is just as embarrassing. Your job as the agent is to make them respond to you. Your job as the agent is to have an answer for your client. If I'm going to pay all this money to have an agent and my agent's response is, yeah, they're not picking up, I ain't paying you, dude. Like, that's just the reality of it. Your job as the agent is to get that phone
that was the second point. You beat me to making that point, too. Like, you need to go get a new agent because if they're not picking up the phone, then you have bigger issues than just the team signing a guy. Like, like you said, it's pro sports, man. There's guys looking for jobs all over the place. If your agent can't get a team to return his phone call, there's bigger issues than just you as the player. So, no, I appreciate it, man. Have a good day.
Take care. Appreciate you. 518-1410. Good stuff from Adam. Appreciate Ryan Holzapple on there. Damon Hahn, just because, excuse me, I disagree with your take about the Joe Burrow thing a little bit ago. Appreciate your take on that as well. That's why we do the list stuff. It just leads to conversation. And in the mid-June period of the summer, that or whatever time of year it is, that always helps. So appreciate you. Ryan Holzapple, he goes, Jonah Williams took Nick Saban's crying class at Alabama and evidently did well in that class. Let's be clear, too. So I went in aggressive, so let me walk it back a tad. I, as a human being, can acknowledge why he's upset. It just doesn't look good to continue to go to the media. Like, what good do you think that's going to do? Like, and some people are, I'm defending the Bengals here. Some people on social media are saying, well, it's a bad look for the Bengals to still not return his phone call. What are you talking about? What? Jonah Williams is lucky to have a job in Cincinnati. Okay. Now you could say, well, obviously he has leverage because they haven't traded him. I mean, he's just good enough to get them through where they need to go. But I mean, they had to put enough pieces around him to where, I mean, look, if Jonah Williams is the worst piece on your offensive line, I guess it's not the end of the world because they upgraded and being healthy is going to help. But this idea that they need to respond to him or tell him or whatever, you know, a message to the agent or something. Okay, fine. But at the same time, and I'm not pro corporate America, I'm not pro ownership of this and that or the other, but at the same time, I think we as humans spend too much time whining instead of just understanding how the world works. You know, I understand how my industry works, especially at this level. Asking for things that aren't realistic just because someone else over in the same position as me elsewhere has it, that doesn't make sense. Well, gee, sir, boss, Colin Cowherd does a sports talk show and he makes $1 million. I think I should make $1 million. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they're not. I work just as hard as Colin Cow. No, that's ridiculous. I clearly don't understand the landscape of the level of radio in which I work, but I do. So I have to have realistic expectations with what comes with this job. Is it, I'm not, rolling in cash by any means, but I'm pretty realistic about what I have for the level of which I'm at. And Jonah Williams, you do not, buddy. You do not. It's just, I can't even believe I'm letting it upset me this much to where I'm spending this much time on it, but it is what it is. All right, 518-1410. Appreciate the calls, the social media interaction. Lots to still get into. Get into some Red Stock coming up around the corner. How about this quote from Gene Smith, the athletic director for the Ohio State Buckeyes, by the way. Ohio State athletic director Gene Smith redirects focus from Michigan losses to national title hopes. And he says it's just one game. He goes, it's just so funny that everybody's so focused on just one game. Talking about that matchup with that team up north. Oof. I cannot tell you how much I agree with Gene Smith for once. For once. Buckeye fans are piling on Gene Smith. I'm here to defend Gene Smith. I'll tell you why on the other side. Bengals fans, appreciate you. Appreciate you, Ryan and Damon and Keith Tolliver and some of you others and Adam for calling in. We'll get back into some of that in a little bit. But Gene Smith, I love what Gene Smith had to say. It's so funny. Everybody's so focused on just one game when he was being pressured to talk about the losses to that team up north. Well, how funny is it? Do you find it funny? We'll talk about that next. Kenner and Kev, 1410 Wing AM.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Well, the forecast is calling for rain tonight. Low of 58. Rain, then giving way to sunshine, 75 Wednesday. Sunny on Thursday, then a chance of a thunderstorm and a high of 84. Rick Shrimp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Summer rib season is back, baby, at Frickers. Join us for the perfect pairing of frickin' chicken chunks and baby back ribs together all summer long for only $14.99. Bring the whole family as kids 10 and under eat free from the kids menu all day, every day. Spend time with the family. Enjoy frickin' chicken chunks and baby back ribs all summer long for only $14.99. And kids 10 and under eat free only at the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
It's still alive. Unlikely. Good thing nature's got your back. Stem bug killers combine powerful active ingredients found in plants, like lemongrass and geraniol, and scientifically engineer them into effective bug-fighting formulas, safe for use as directed around people, pets, and throughout the home. Stem. Rooted in nature, optimized by science.
Meet Joe A, Joe B, and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with autosave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Imagine getting ahead of your irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C by treating it with Linzess. Then you could start proactively managing your constipation with belly pain and get ahead of your symptoms. Talk to your doctor about Linzess, linaclotide. Linzess is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually.
Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
Imagine, what could relief from IBS-C mean for you? Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
The Dell Technologies Summer Sale event starts now with savings on select PCs powered by the latest Intel Core processors. Plus, get deals on accessories and free shipping. Call 877-ASK-DELL.
All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Justin Kinner with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. All right, so the athletic director for the Ohio State Buckeyes, Gene Smith, getting a little criticism on the old social media machines. Getting a little criticism on the old social media machines, mainly because of the fact that when he was asked about all of the issues with losing to that team up north the last couple of seasons, he responded in kind of a mocking tone, saying that it's just one game and it's not the game that cost them their ultimate goal, which was winning a national championship. And it's been exactly what I have been screaming from the mountaintops about for quite some time, that the Michigan game is very, very, very important. It is called the game for a reason. It is the game. It's the rivalry game. It means everything to Buckeye fans. It means everything to Buckeyes. It means everything to Ohio State, the university, the program, every former coach, every future coach, the current coach, everything. But I've always said this, that it is always weird to me that no matter how big that rivalry is, that it means more than a national championship. And that is something that no matter how big of a Buckeye fan I am, I will never, ever be on board for saying that I will take a win over that team up north over a national championship any day. Now, some of you could be dramatic and say, well, I'm not saying that either. You are, because everyone out there that is saying that last year the biggest, most painful loss of the season was against that team up north, you're fooling yourself. You lost to that team up north. You lost the bragging rights within the rivalry, but you did not lose an opportunity to win a national championship. Where you lost a chance to win a national championship was losing to Georgia by missing a field goal to take the game late as time expired heading into 2023 as the ball dropped. The loss to Georgia is the most painful one. The losses to Clemson over the years, those are the painful ones. The loss to Alabama in the national championship game in 2020 and not just losing, getting your ass kicked. Those are the painful ones. The unfortunate ones are that team up north. It's unfortunate. And it stinks and it stings and you just want to scream. But the fact that the losing to that team up north hurts the fan base and the players in the program more than losing to Georgia in the semifinals of the college football playoff, that to me is embarrassing. That to me is a problem. And if that loses listeners of the show, if you lose respect for me because of that, I think that's a you problem and not a me problem. The whole purpose of sports is to win it all, to win a national championship. Now, there's more purposes to sports. I got so much out of sports, and I'm not a college or pro athlete. I know you're shocked. Look at me, all 5'5", 240 pounds of myself. Shocker, right? Okay, get that out of the way. But the whole goal in any team sport is to win a team championship. That's what it's all about. So don't tell me, yes, it is just one game. It's a very, very important game, and you really, really want to win that game. But losing that game didn't keep you from winning a national championship. It just didn't. Losing to Georgia did. And Georgia is who you're actually recruiting against. Georgia is who you're actually competing against to accomplish your ultimate goal, which is to win a national title. You lose to Michigan, you still have a chance to play for a national championship. You lose to Georgia, you don't have a chance to beat up on TCU in the national championship. It's really not that hard. It's not. And I'm not on board with those out there who think otherwise. I've done this topic quite a few times, but it's painful to me to hear people say that losing to that team up north is more painful than losing to Georgia. That's the program's problem. You beat Michigan, you don't have to worry about it. I get that. So if we could just get back to pounding Michigan so that we don't have to have these silly conversations about, well, that hurt more than losing to Georgia in the semifinal, I'd really, really appreciate it. All right, I'm Justin Kinner with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. The Cincinnati Reds continue to do what the Cincinnati Reds have done all season long, and that's overachieve. That's what I was told today in an email from a listener, that they've really enjoyed listening to the Reds on the radio for the first time in a long time because it just takes them back to the glory days of the Reds when you would listen to a competitive Reds team. This is a team, by the way. This is how bad it's been for us as Reds fans. This is still a team that's 3 games under 500. This is still a team that has horrible starting pitching. This is a team that has a lot of deficiencies, but this is a team that has brought the Reds fans back. This is a team. This is a makeup of a team that has gotten fans to believe and buy in again. And I can't tell you how happy I am about that. I cannot tell you how happy I am about that. I love the Cincinnati Reds and what's happening right now. Last year, I love listening to Reds on radio. I love watching the Reds, all that stuff, but it became painful to just watch and listen to the Reds just get pummeled every night. And I couldn't do it. And a lot of you said, too, you couldn't listen or watch the Reds, and I don't blame you. But I can't tell you how many people I've had reach out saying it's been fun to listen to the Reds on 1410 Wing AM again because they're competitive. And I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. Who knows what the long-term, or not long-term, but who knows what the future is as far as the next 3.5 months of the season is concerned. But I tell you what, right now, 2.5 games of the wild card. Right now, 3.5 games out of the division. The Milwaukee Brewers have lost, 4 straight, including getting swept by the worst team in baseball and the Oakland Athletics. The team that is tied with Oakland for the worst record in baseball is who the Reds came back to beat last night. In fact, the Reds win last night was their 21st come-from-behind win. That is the most come-from-behind wins in all of Major League Baseball. And it actually makes a lot of sense. When you think about the weakness of the team, it's starting pitching. So the team's getting down, and they're getting down early, which is then forcing the Reds to have to come back. It's not like a rocket science. It's not like some tough formula I just had to explain to you, but it does make sense. The Reds starting pitching that has been average on a good day has been their biggest problem. The starting pitching, as we've talked about in weeks and days and months and years past, is the starting pitching was supposed to be why they were winning games. They were supposed to be losing games because they were supposed to struggle putting runs on the board. They were supposed to struggle getting outs when they go to the bullpen. And now they're going to the bullpen, getting key major outs, and the lineup is providing big time hits at the big leverage moments of the game. And it's fantastic. They're winning for all the reasons they should be losing. And it's frustrating because if they also had what there was supposed to be their strength coming in, if Nick Lodolo, Hunter Green, Graham Ashcraft were doing their job, complemented with this bullpen, along with the production from the lineup, this team would be the best team in the NL Central. That's what's wild. So yesterday, David Shaw, hope you're doing well, man. He reached out in the comment section. I didn't mean to ignore it. We just had a lot going on. I had thrown out the fact that the Major League Baseball trade deadline is 7 weeks away. In fact, it's 7 weeks away from today. 7 weeks from today is the trade deadline. Pretty wild. And 7 weeks from today is a long time. It doesn't seem like a long time, but it's a long time. A lot can happen in the next 7 weeks. And that's why the Reds are in a very tough spot. You're 2.5 games out of the wild card. You're 3.5 games out of the division. What do? The Reds, if they make a move at the deadline, they will do what they historically always do, and that is make a move at the deadline. The deadline will be on a Monday on August 1st. It'll be at 4 p.m. And the Reds they're historically known for making a trade at about 2 o'clock on that Monday, usually us heading into the show, having this trade to talk about, whether they're, stripping down a roster or adding a couple big pieces like they've done in years past. Obviously, Trevor Bauer being one of the bigger additions that was exciting for when the Reds did that years ago. But I look at that situation and I say, okay, if you are the Reds and you are rolling right now, you've won 4 of your last 5 series. They win tonight. It'll be 5 of the last 6. They're 5-2 since calling up Ellie De La Cruz. The Cincinnati Reds have an opportunity to continue to chip away at the deficit in the wild card and divisional standings and take their chances with the roster as is, or don't wait the 7 weeks until the trade deadline to make a move. Now, this is what I did in college. The professor would say, oh, man, this paper, you can get started on it now and turn it in early, or you could turn it in at the end of the semester. Guess which option Kinner always picked? There's a reason I went to school for 8 years, and I'm not a doctor. Now, let me tell you, I procrastinated all the damn time, okay? My boss is listening right now. They're like, yep, that sounds about right. I'm a procrastinator. It's a flaw. I get it. However, the Reds should not be a procrastinator here. They should not wait 7 weeks to make a move. David Shaw yesterday asked, well, Kenner, you talked about the trade deadline. You talked about a move. What would you do? What move is there to make? And I'm here to tell you this. The trade deadline, 7 weeks away from today. This is not a World Series team. In fact, there is not a trade out there that will make this team a World Series team. And that's perfectly okay. We were supposed to be watching another brutally ugly year, as we've talked about. Yet here we are talking about the Reds in the playoff picture 2.5 months into the season. I begged them to just give me April. I was content with just being semi-competitive in May. And here we are in mid-June, 2.5 months into the season. And here we are in about a week. They could be holding a wild card spot or hell leading the division. Who knows? Or they can unravel. And if they unravel, it's going to be because while they were right here in this position to strike, they didn't. And they're going to look back at this. Remember our conversation today. If the Reds unravel and the Reds do nothing about it, I'm going to look back and say, hey, remember when I pointed out that there were 7 weeks to the deadline and I said, don't procrastinate. Don't wait to the deadline to make a move. Make a move now if you can. The move I would make was kind of teased last night. Aroldis Chapman was interviewed by the Cincinnati Enquirer, and the 35-year-old pitcher who still has high heat, who still has a strong arm, said he would love to finish his career in Cincinnati. He's 35 years old. He has a 2.7 ERA. He has struck out 41 batters in 23 innings this season. Not bad. Not bad. The last time he was here, of course, he had, he multiple-time All-Star. He was a draw. People did not leave the ballpark because they wanted a chance to see him. They loved when the music would hit, and he would come out there and then just throw that high heat. And, man, Aroldis Chapman was must-watch when he was in Cincinnati, and he still has a lot of those qualities now. But here's what he means to the Reds if the Reds could find a way to get him to Cincinnati. He is 35 years old. He is on a team that is tied for the worst record in Major League Baseball with the Oakland Athletics. He doesn't need to be on that Royals team. You can't tell me that the Royals are holding hope and they want to keep him until the deadline. And that's why, we can't. The Reds want him now, but the Royals aren't going to part ways with him until the deadline. They'll part ways with him now. The Royals aren't winning a damn thing. Go get Aroldis Chapman now. He wants to finish his career in Cincinnati. I love that idea. And here's why. Now, you're probably saying, well, Justin, their problem's not the bullpen. Their problem's starting pitching. The problem right now is starting pitching. But you can't go fix the starting pitching now at the expense of the big picture. This is why the Reds are in a little bit of a conundrum. They're a rebuilding team that's being forced to have to make playoff philosophical decisions because they found themselves in the playoff picture accidentally. They're a victim of their own developmental success, which is something that's very weird to say. They are not a good organization as far as developing talent, or at least that's a perception. But it just seems every player they touch is turning to gold right now. Matt McClain is not just a good success story. He is one of the best shortstops in baseball, and the proof is in the pudding. Have you looked at the first National League All-Star vote release yesterday? He's number 4. He's number 4 on that list. Obviously, Ellie De La Cruz, I don't think we need to talk anymore about him. Last night, the Reds still found a way to win, even with him going 0-for. It's not like, they're dependent on it. I mean, he is a big-time energy, boost for this team. Don't get me wrong. But, man, it's not as if they needed him to be productive for them to win. He didn't have a hit last night. He struck out. They won. They scrap. They fight. They claw. They do everything they can that they need to win. So, as far as the starting pitching goes, going to give up prospects to get starting pitching to fix the rotation this year doesn't make sense. To me, you've come this far with the rotation that hasn't been very reliable. Don't try to fix your deficiencies. Lean into your strength. Your strength is your bullpen. Add more depth. Add more depth. That's what I would do if I'm the Cincinnati Reds. Go get more strong arms, innings eaters, because you have to continue to throw Graham Ashcraft out there. You have to continue to get Hunter Green out there. When Nick Lodolo comes back, he's going to need time to come back off the IL. You need him to continue to get starts and reps, which means if Nick Lodolo goes out there and struggles and can only give you 4 innings, you need a lot of depth in that bullpen to eat innings. Go get starting pitching. And what? The future, the Cincinnati Reds have done something very unique. They have potentially found 4 starting pitchers. And Andrew Abbott, who hasn't given up a run in his first 2 starts as in his debut with the Reds. All right, you have Graham Ashcraft, who has stuff that is as nasty as some of the top pitchers in baseball. Nick Lodolo, a big framed pitcher, a lefty. Not many teams have guys like him. And then Hunter Green. Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, Graham Ashcraft, and now add Andrew Abbott into the mix. Drafted, developed, and they're all ready to go. They're on the roster. Now they need to take their lumps. Let them take their lumps at the major league level. Let them continue to develop. Let the bullpen add experienced bullpen arms to eat innings. That's what the Reds have been doing so far, and they're 2.5 games out of the wild card. Go get Aroldis Chapman. That's the move I would make if I'm the Cincinnati Reds. He's thrown it out there. He wants to be a Red, and it's not going to be a guy that you have to give up a ton to get. He would make a huge impact for the Reds, and you wouldn't have to give up a ton to go get him. Aroldis Chapman, David Shaw, that's the name I throw out there. It's not a super hot take, I get that, but can you imagine with Alexis Diaz being the closer? It's a 9-inning game. Let's shrink it down to 7 innings, right? If the 9th inning belongs to Diaz and the 8th inning belongs to Aroldis Chapman, and your starting pitcher can hopefully get you 4 to 5 innings. I can't believe I'm saying that because it used to be 7 innings, but whatever. Starting pitcher could at least get you 4 to 5 innings. Now you can let the arms of Antone when he comes back and Lucas Sims and Law and Gabout and Farmer. They have the pieces to be very strong with middle relief. But let the 9th belong to the best closer arguably in baseball in Diaz. Let the 8th inning, maybe the 7th inning, belong to Aroldis Chapman, and then let the other guys get you out of the 5th and 6th inning. 5th, 6th, and 7th. Let them do that work. Let them do it. They've done it all year. Take that 9-inning game, shrink it down to 7. You're in good hands at that point. I like that move, if you ask me. All right, that's what my take. What about your take? 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. I'll step away for a few moments. I'll read your social media responses. What say you? I thought that was a very interesting little tidbit of news last night in Kansas City when Aroldis Chapman announced that, hey, I would love to finish my career in Cincinnati. It's almost like he's screaming for help. Get me out of Kansas City. Get him out of there. Come on, Reds, do it. Bring him back. 518-1410. Kinner and Kev, 1410 Wing AM. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Drive less and live more. Instead of driving alone, find ways to bike, walk, take the bus, or carpool if possible. It will save you money and improve your health, all while reducing air pollution. Try biking to an event, carpooling with friends to a festival, taking the bus to the movies, or walking to pick up your lunch. Get started at drivelesslivemore.org or call 937-223-SAVE.
Ready for the heat that can't be beat? Stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and pick up the all-new Nashville Hot Chicken Sandwich with a hand-breaded premium chicken breast prepared Nashville hot style and pickles all on a brioche bun. It's Music City flavor made famous. Stop by Lee's and experience music to your taste buds with the Nashville Hot Chicken Sandwich for a great price. It's here for a limited time, so try it while you can. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way. offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones.
Discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
TV. We have expertise that will get your business noticed, allowing you to focus more on your business. Go to alphadigitaldayton.com. That's alphadigitaldayton.com or call 937-519-0035.
If you haven't been to Chevrolet of Troy, you have to stop in today. Selection has never been better with over 300 new and pre-owned vehicles available, in stock and ready to go. It's the best in the region. We always accept employee and supplier pricing, and we make financing easy. Customer service is our top priority because we care about you. With thousands off MSRP, a full-service, state-of-the-art dealership, and huge selection, make Chevrolet of Troy your first choice. 1375 South Market Street and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
My plan from Verizon puts you in control. Get exactly what you want. Only pay for what you need. All on the network you want. Head into your local Verizon store now.
The Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Hang out with College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers every Monday at noon on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah. Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling. yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah. Yes, I can.
You're listening to Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Or Dayton's ESPN radio affiliate and Dayton's radio home of the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds will be back in action coming up here later on tonight, game 2 against the Kansas City, almost said Chiefs, but they're the Royals. Big difference between the Royals and Chiefs. Yes, baseball, football, but one's really, really good and the other one's really, really bad. The Royals tied with the Athletics for the worst record in Major League Baseball, and the Reds were able to pick up their 21st come-from-behind win last night. 21 come-from-behind wins leads all of Major League Baseball, and the Reds were able to keep the hot streak alive. Again, they've won 4 of their last 5 series. They're 5-2 since calling up Elly De La Cruz, who had his worst game as a professional Red last night, and we'll see how he bounces back. Look, we've seen him handle all of the pressure, all of the buzz, all of the buildup. What I'm excited about tonight is to see how he responds after going 0 for last night. You know what I mean? Like when you talk about young talent, sometimes it's easy when you're young to thrive off of the adrenaline and to thrive off of the momentum. What happens when that momentum comes to a stop? What happens when you reach your first bump in the road? And that was last night. Now, the good thing is the Reds found ways to win. And I think that's very key. And I think that's going to help take the pressure off of Elly De La Cruz, which I don't think he feels pressure. I think there's been so much talk and hype and buzz around this kid that I don't think it's necessarily a situation where, the pressure's getting to him. To me, the pressure of debuting against the Los Angeles Dodgers and going up against some of their top pitching, going up against Wainwright with the Cardinals. He's had some of his best performances against some of the best quality pitching in the majors right now. It's not that. So I'm excited about tonight because of how poorly he played last night. And if he comes back tonight and rips it, that means, okay, this is a guy that can have an off night and shake it off. You're going to play 162 of these damn things a year, hopefully more in October. You're going to have some bad ones. It's not what you do when you're playing well, but how do you respond when you had a bad game? We're going to learn that about this kid tonight. Again, it's fun. It's exciting, but we're learning about these guys. But since he was called up, 5 wins, 2 losses, this Reds team rolling right now. And can't think of a better team to have in front of them right now than, of course, the Kansas City Royals, one of the worst teams in baseball. So they have game 2 tonight, game 3 tomorrow, off day on Thursday, and then a really good test. The Houston Astros. All right, they got the Houston Astros coming up heading into the weekend, and that's going to be an interesting series because it's just a good way coming off of a series against a bad team in the Royals. How do you respond going up against a 37-29, Houston Astros team that's second in the AL West? All right, you're going to be going up against your old manager and Dusty Baker. There's just a lot going on. There's a lot going on in Houston. There's a lot going on with this Reds team. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Reds rebound coming out of a Royals series, remaining on the road, going to Houston. The good thing is they come back and return home on Monday night. All right. So when the Reds return home on Monday night, after they wrap up the series with the Astros on Sunday, they'll start a 3-game series with the Colorado Rockies. If you haven't had a chance to go watch Elly De La Cruz play live, and I haven't either, we got tickets for you. Head to wingam.com. Click on the family 4-pack of ticket giveaway presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, and we'll draw the winner on Friday. Their digital tickets, we'll send them right to your MLB Ballpark app. It's actually a very seamless transition for the tickets. It's very easy. So take advantage of that. It doesn't cost anything other than a few moments of your time. Register for the Reds Family 4-pack of tickets presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken at wingam.com. I know Monday, I'm going to be heading to the ballpark. It'll be my first time getting to see Elly De La Cruz live. So we'll want to give as many of you listeners an opportunity for that as well. Head to the website, register there. There you go. All right. So some stuff coming in on Facebook. I talked about Aroldis Chapman, who announced last night for the Cincinnati Enquirer. Of course, he's with the Kansas City Royals, that he would love to finish his career with the Cincinnati Reds. All right. He's 35 years old. He has a 2.7 ERA this season and 23 and a half innings of work, and he struck out 41 batters in that time frame. That means he's averaging about 2 strikeouts an outing. Not bad. Because if the Reds brought him to Cincinnati, they would not need him to eat a lot of innings. Or maybe they would. I don't know. I mean, at this point, Aroldis Chapman, a little bit older. You're not looking to keep him long term. you can kind of treat them like a rental car, right? Right? You can run them into the ground a little bit, right? You can maybe extend them for another inning on a certain nights here and there. I'm a big fan of the idea of potentially bringing Aroldis Chapman to Cincinnati. There's no buzz or talk about it. I'm trying to create that buzz. I would love to see it. And I think it would be a big-time plus and perk for the Reds. As I said, you can lean into your deficiencies and try to acquire starting pitching at the deadline, but why are you going to acquire positions that cost a ton of money? And you're getting them because you have guys that aren't necessarily ready, but are probably a year away, and that's okay because you're not supposed to be in this position to begin with. I would hunker down with your strengths. I would add more depth to your bullpen. This team leads baseball and come from behind wins, and they lead baseball and come from behind wins because of the fact that they're getting down early in games, but their bullpen, when they get called in that fourth and fifth inning, they're not giving up runs. They're not giving up runs. The bats for the Reds continue to put runs up on the board. They have the best closer in baseball, arguably in Alexis Diaz right now. I would just continue. It's a 9-inning game, as I said earlier. Shrink it down to a 7-inning game. The Alexis Diaz owns the 9th inning. Chapman would own the 7th to 8th inning. Starter hopefully can get you to that 5th inning, 6th inning. Now you have 6 and 7 to worry about, and I think you could do that with the likes of Lucas Sims, all right, and obviously TJ Antone when he comes back, Gabout, Farmer. I mean, you have options, and we've seen that bullpen be one of the best in baseball this year. Let's just add more to it. That's all. Okay, to the comments we go. Scott Campbell on YouTube says, we were debating whether the Reds would win 70 or 75 games this year before opening day. Now the talk is way more exciting. I mean, look, this is a team that won 62 games last year, and where are we at win-wise right now? The Cincinnati Reds are at 32. They're at 32. They're already at half of the win total from a season ago over an entire 6-month span. We're 2.5 weeks, or we're 2.5 months into the season, and they already have half the amount of wins as last year over a full season stretch of time. Folks, this team's going to win 80 games, barring any kind of big injury collapse here. 80 games. And you go back and look at the playoffs the last couple of years, there's 5 teams over the last 4 years that have missed the playoffs at 80-plus wins. But the bottom line is they could win this division. And the wild card, as we talked about earlier, look at the wild card. The teams ahead of them. All right, the teams are ahead of them. The Reds are looking up at the Dodgers, who the Reds just took 2 or 3 from the Dodgers. They're looking up at the Marlins. The Reds took 2 or 3 from the Marlins. All right. Philadelphia, they competed. They took 1 of 3 from Philadelphia, of course, but they could beat Philadelphia. All right. The Brewers, that's their problem. They just dropped 3 of 4. That series is killer. But, I mean, everyone else that they're competing with, the Padres, the Mets, they took 2 or 3 from the Mets. The Cubs are right there. They just swept the Cubs in Chicago a few weeks ago. I know I'm repeating a lot of stuff. If you can't tell, I'm just really enjoying this Red stuff. That's for sure. All right, folks. Yesterday, we had a chance to catch up with the Hall of Famer Hal McCoy. The Hall of Famer Hal McCoy had a lot to say about the development of this Reds team. We had Hal and Marty Brenneman on the show on opening day, and we asked them their expectations of this team when the season started. Both said, well, Marty thought they'd be better than what they were last year, but Marty also joked and said, well, they couldn't be any worse. Hal McCoy said, no, he did not buy into the fact that this team would make major strides just because of the fact that they had the bullpen was basically the same bullpen as last year, and they were bad last year. All right. And you looked at the lineup. Where were the runs going to come from? All right. We didn't know Matt McClain was going to tear up AAA. We didn't know Ellie De La Cruz was going to just come in and basically have a seamless transition from the minors to the majors. All right. Jonathan India, we've seen 2 years of him before this. Rookie of the year quality stuff. His first year, obviously. The second year, injured, didn't know what to expect. Tyler Stevenson, we knew that the power can come from him. We knew that production can come from him. But this is a guy that missed 100-plus games last year due to injury. Could he stay healthy? Well, guess what? Jonathan India has looked like that rookie of the year, Jonathan India, and then some. Tyler Stevenson, he's remained healthy, and he looks like an all-star caliber player, and then some when he's rolling. So, and then Matt McClain, Ellie De La Cruz, got to give Steer a ton of credit. Steer's having to play a position that he didn't play much of during spring training. No Joey Votto. I mean, my goodness, there's a lot that's happening with this team. But we talked about all of that and more with the Hall of Famer Hal McCoy on yesterday's show. So we'll step away for a few moments. We'll have that plus Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams was crying to the media earlier today. We'll get back into that and get more of your takes here coming up in just a few moments. 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. It's Kenner and Kev, 1410 Wing AM. Don't go anywhere.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I grew up with Marty and Joe, hearing every pitch on the radio. I love Cincinnati, I'm a big Reds fan. I come to the ballpark every time I can. Me and 40,000 of my closest friends root for the Reds to watch them win. And we all came to hear what Marty just said. This one belongs to the Reds. This one belongs to the Reds. Did you hear what Marty just said? I'm high-fiving all of my friends, cause this one belongs to the Reds.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 14.